As I'm about to start this, I'm kicking myself. I don't think I looked at what episode number this is, but we're gonna jump in. We have got my great friend UV of Dream Vision. It's Dream Vision, right?
Yes, sir.
Excellent. How you feeling, my friend?
I feel great. How do you feel?
Feel great as well. Always good energy when I come in with you guys, because I feel like I've been creativity deprived with some of the other people. So it's always good energy. So excellent. We were just talking breakfast. My man headed backwards for breakfast. Very exciting, healthy, well nutritious. So I'm just gonna dive in because I'm curious. Dream Vision and UV. How did we get the names? How did we kind of come up with that?
So my real name is Yuval Zamir, and it's Hebrew, but that's a nickname UV. So whenever I played like sports or kids at school would always call me UV.
Cause they didn't want to shout your full name?
Well, it's a lot easier than saying my full name. And you know how like people, there's like DJ or like, people just have nickname like that. So I just use that. Yeah. And honestly, it's been, I like using it because it's like my artist name too. So no one really like knows exactly my name and knows, oh, that's UV.
Yeah.
So
and some mystery to it too, because it's letters. So like you're saying with DJ, it's like, what does it stand for?
Dream Vision, I came up like, I was just writing a bunch of names on a piece of paper and it came to me, and then I switched the S in Vision for Z for Zamir for my last name.
Oh, okay.
So that's like, because a lot of like brands and like clothing especially, they have a family name, like like Louis Vuitton or like Balenciaga, like those are all like families.
Right.
Or Versace, so I wanted to still like keep my family in that somehow. Yeah,
that's really cool. And unless you would have told me, I would have just thought it was like a brand move. Like, I'll put a Z in there so it's not an S or something. So that's even a really cool reason behind doing that. And shouts out to Z last names, man. I don't know if we talked about that when I met you before, but
I was always the last for everything, because my first name is Y and my last name is Z. So if they went first name or last name, I'd be last.
How do you spell your last name too?
Zamir.
Okay. Because anytime I had run into another Z person, mine's Zunich.
Yeah,
so I was even last of the Z's too. So, but yeah, I can definitely relate to growing up and being in school. I'm last for everything. So sometimes it is good, sometimes it's not. But that's awesome. So what were some of the other names that you were coming up with before you landed on Dream Vision? And if you don't remember, it's cool. I'm just curious.
The only one I can really remember was Buds.
Buds?
But that was like
BUDZ?
BUDS, because just one of my friends suggested it.
Okay.
Because we were just naming, and I almost went with that one, but I was like, no, I need something more. It sounded too commercial.
Yeah, almost like a car wash or something. Yeah. Bud's Car Wash or something. Yeah, but that's awesome. So, and I guess as I'm even asking this, what were you at that time? What were you naming exactly? Did you even know, or were you just kind of like, well, I'm an artist, I got to name it something like?
Well, like, I always made paintings, so when I did like my first like gallery shows, I just be Yuval Zamir, like just my artist name. Mm-hmm. But when I wanted to sell clothes, I wasn't just gonna. I wanted people to be able to wear clothes and not necessarily attach it to me, but attach it to a brand. Mm-hmm. Like not see my face, like more see Dream Vision. Like,
right. Okay.
Yeah.
That's cool. Great answer. So, and I'm guess growing up, what was young? We kind of got into a little bit a second ago, but what was kind of young UV like growing up? What kind of kid were you? What school like?
I played soccer. I was really good at soccer, so most of my friend group revolves around that. I really enjoyed listening to music. Like I had headphones in like probably 80% of the day, even when I was a kid. Like 11, 12. I remember I got my first MP3 player when I was like 8, so I always listened to music. And I went to like a bunch of different schools in different areas, so I got to be around like all different types of people growing up. So it was cool because I can understand, accept, and appreciate like any culture. So I feel comfortable like, with any type of person.
That's awesome. Yeah. What made you kind of move around and switch schools and stuff so much? Maybe not move around, but go to experience all those different things.
We still stayed in like Cleveland, but a lot of it was just my mom and dad wanted to expose us to like different things, not just have us grow up in like one bubble. So early on, like my earliest schooling, I went to all Jewish school, so all the kids were Jewish, and then I went to school where just regular public school, and then I went to like a charter school in like a not as nice area, and then so that was like a good experience. And then we moved for high school. I went to Beechwood, so I was around a bunch of rich kids. So like, it was cool to see like all different types of people. Like, just I got to know people early on, and like I got to get a sense of what I wanted out of life. I didn't always know what I wanted to do, but I always knew how I wanted to feel, what a type of energy I wanted around me.
Yeah. So was there a method to the switching? Because those seem kind of like calculated diversity schools almost. You said like you went to the charter school in the bad area, then you went to like the rich area as well. Like those seem very like, hey, let's get him exposed to this and this. Was it that calculated, or was it more?
Yeah, also just timing. Like things just always happen for a reason.
Yeah.
Like so, even like, if I was sad to leave a school, I was excited to try something new, and that's like. I wouldn't say it's a bad thing. I'd say it's a good thing. Like in my head, I can always like justify something. Like if something happens, I'm like, at least this, or at least I can do this. I can always take something from any situation.
Yeah, that's awesome, and that's a very like mature way to approach all of that. I could see it, going either that way or maybe like, I didn't get to make any friends and do all that kind of thing. So that's really cool. You're able to kind of learn and adapt and grow from that. So that's awesome. So I guess, what was your like favorite school environment? And were you, I guess you kind of mentioned you were like headphones kid and kind of, listen to music and stuff. Did you have to adapt yourself to each different school, or you kind of were just, I'm riding this out, I'm my same self and I'm just experiencing these different environments?
I hated every school I went to. But I always made good friends there because I always got along with the kids, because I wasn't, like when kids look at me, they don't look at me and see me as like one type of kid. Like I'm not like a white kid, an Asian kid, or whatever.
They can't label you as something.
Yeah, so that I'm always just, not even because of that, but also my personality. Like I'm gonna respect anybody unless you give me a reason not to respect
them.
So off the bat, I'm gonna treat everybody nicely. I'm not gonna look at you weird or like be standoffish. So I always went into any school just minding myself and just letting anything come to me. So I always met good people. I didn't like try to get attention or put myself out there. Yeah,
that's awesome. And I changed schools maybe 3 or 4 times, so maybe not as many as you, but I kind of had a similar approach, I guess, if you will, to making friends and stuff too, where I think me as a person is very like you're saying, I just kind of, you can be your full self around me, and unless you disrespect me, I'm going to respect it and appreciate that. So it's cool that you had that experience as well, and I think probably made some great friendships. Just letting people can be genuine, and people respect that. So that's awesome. So at what age, I guess, because it sounded like you started maybe drawing and painting and stuff first. Like how did you start getting into that, and then how did that evolve into?
Well, my dad is a very, very good artist. He's I was born in Israel, and that's where his family is, and we moved here when I was like 1.
Oh wow! Okay.
And then when we moved here, he went to art school. He always painted and stuff when he was a kid, but he went to art school, started a gallery. Like I got to see him do all these things while I was growing up. Is that why he came here? No, my mom is American, so she had family here, and he just wanted to. That was probably the main reason, just because my mom had family here. But he also wanted to be an artist. Like he wanted to. In Israel, nowadays it's easier, but at least when he was growing up, or like my age, people didn't think you could make money with art.
Right.
Unless you were like Van Gogh or whatever.
Yeah.
So he, what was the question again?
I guess, how did you start drawing and stuff like that?
So I always watched him doing art, and I always just like doodled, and I always did well in art class, and I always in my head, I always like looked at cool stuff. Like I always like liked cool clothes, cars, paintings. Like I always had good taste, music, stuff like that. Yeah. So I was always like watching and in these environments, and I didn't really start creating till I dropped out of college, and that was after 1 semester. So after 1 semester I came back, And then I started spending more time with my father again, and we started painting together.
Oh, that's
awesome. That was the first piece I made.
This one right here?
Yeah.
That's so cool. I like that you have it hanging up and you can point to it and say that's the first piece.
Yeah.
I don't know if the camera is getting it in, but I'm curious what's what is the meaning behind this?
It's called Heart of Gold.
Okay.
So it's a boy in a chair.
Yeah.
And he's like basically holding a blanket that turns into the sky.
Oh, okay.
And his heart is gold, even though everything around him is whatever.
Yeah. That's awesome. You said you and your dad made that together?
No, I made this one by myself, but we were like working side by side.
Okay.
But we did a few things together. I don't have any of them here.
Okay. That's cool. Is he... I mean, you have a very distinct style. Is he similar in style, or
no,
he has
completely opposite?
Oh, really? Okay.
He actually, our styles complement each other well because we are opposite styles. But he makes more portraits, realistic, animals. But he'll also he makes crazy shit. He'll make a clock that's shaped like an owl, and then it turns into a boat. He has a crazy imagination, and and I've seen his art evolved over. I've seen myself have seen 22 years of his work.
Yeah.
And he does art full time, so I've seen how much you can improve if you work at it, what you can actually do, and actually you can make a living off of art.
Yeah. That's awesome. Yeah. Was he kind of, I don't want to say excited that you were, an artist as well, but was he kind of not pushing you, but guiding you into artistry?
No, not at all. And that's the funny thing, because my parents just supported me in whatever I wanted to do. So if I wanted to paint, they'd let me paint. If I wanted to play soccer, they'd drive me to games or practice or whatever. So I'm thankful they were both very supportive, and art just came naturally. He always knew that I appreciated art and I liked to be around it, but I didn't always have the time or desire to make art. And a lot of the time, you'll meet so many people who are very talented. I know kids that I went to grade school with or whatever that can make a really nice portrait in art class and stuff, are very talented, but there's a difference between actually living the art and just being talented, because there's also the lifestyle of an artist, actually putting emotion into something and making it a reflection of yourself and not just a nice painting.
Yeah, saying something, even if it is just a picture, you can tell who has emotion and who doesn't have that in there.
Yeah, and that's my favorite thing about my art, and the thing that makes me the happiest is people will look at a piece and they'll know I made it.
Yeah.
Or someone will say, "Oh, I saw someone wearing your sweater at the store or wherever," and it's starting to happen just in Cleveland, and that's the coolest thing where I'll randomly see a picture.
Yeah.
But I was just in New York for a fashion show, and being in Times Square was so cool. But one of the things I noticed, and it's not a knock on portrait art or anything, but when I was walking around, every corner there was people begging to come to the table to draw a portrait of them, and that's, you need a lot of skill to do that, but if I walk around the block, I could have 100 people walk up to me, but I can go to the lady sitting on the corner with her hand-painted stuff, and she's completely unique.
Yeah.
Nobody has anything like that. Nobody can make something like that. And that's what I like about my art, that someone hypothetically could sit down and copy my art, whatever, but nobody's going to want to sit down and put in the time or make it the same way, because when I look at my art, I can feel I know exactly what I was thinking, where I was, what period of my life, for real, I feel like a time portal.
It's so cool to hear you say that, because I'm the same way with my stuff too, and I always try to label my videos. This is the exact day, hour, minute that I shot this video, and then I can close my eyes and go back as I'm watching it and be I remember my mental state in that area when I cut these two clips together, and that's cool to hear that there's somebody else, that it's not just me experiencing that. But I definitely would agree. I think you're even if you put two of those portrait people, you could tell which one of them, or even if somebody copied you, it would be robotic, and they wouldn't be able to have that time in their life where this line means, I was worried about this, or I was going through this or something.
Or the color.
Yeah, exactly. I was talking to somebody about music as well as royalty-free music, and why do certain songs not have that piece, but you can have a bad recording of an audio thing that's like hits you for some reason.
That's what me and Mont were just talking about that, because I manage Mont, and I've been like booking him shows and stuff, and like one of the things we always talk about, because he'll like send me songs he hasn't released yet, like it'll just be like something he mixed himself, and I'll listen to it and be like, bro, this is insane, and he'll be like, nah, I don't fuck with it, like I gotta re-record it, and I'm like, dude, you don't have to re-record it, like just because sometimes like the artist knows exactly how they want it to sound, and nobody else can make that level, that pitch, that emotion, and like I'm making a SoundCloud to like leak the songs he thinks, like if you think I want me to drop it, just drop it. So I'm gonna just start dropping shit, but I know what you mean, like sometimes things don't have to be perfect, it's like the imperfections and like the rawness and like the actual personality that makes it something.
Exactly. Yeah, definitely. Well, cool. So I guess you had kind of mentioned it as well, like even growing up, that you were kind of always into like cool clothes and cars and fashion and stuff like that. What helps you kind of put the like drawing and portraits, and you were saying you were doing like art shows and stuff. What made you be like, you know what, I'm doing it on clothes?
It's funny because when I dropped out of college, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, and most people were like looking at me, like watching me. They're like, "What are you gonna do?" And so it's like, because all my friends are still in school. Like I'm the only one who came back home. And I'm in my head. I'm still young. Like I know how much time is gonna go by. Like I was in school for 1 semester, and I knew I'm not gonna want to be here for 4 years. Like, So I was like, that's not in my book.
What school were you at?
I went to Ohio University. Big party school. That shit was fun. But
I was banned from going there. My parents were like, you can go anywhere except there because it's a party school. I was like, no, fine.
I got a lot of friends that graduated, so a lot of good people, but me personally, I couldn't fit there. But I ended up moving to Michigan by myself. I got the cheapest apartment I could get in East Lansing. It was like a Section 8 apartment pretty much. And I had 3 levels in my house, and I had this basement, and I just destroyed it with paint. Like I just went crazy because I was in the house all by myself. So I was like doing shrooms, acid. I was just tripping and just painting, and eventually I was like, I always just had like ordinary clothes because I never wanted to spend money on clothes because I didn't feel like I deserved to wear those clothes. Like not that I deserved, but like I didn't want to just wear it because I spent money on it. Like I wanted to wear it because like I got it somehow, if that makes sense.
Yeah, you fit into the clothes versus the clothes like fitting.
And even before I made started painting clothes, I always appreciated clothes that were one of one. So something that was unique. Like even if it was like Bape or like something that I really liked, I didn't want the same colorway that everybody had and the same thing. Like I wanted it like my own. And then when I started painting, I was like, I could easily just put this on a shirt. But I was like, there's no way I can just draw on a shirt. I was like, how am I going to make a shirt? So I was like looking up all these websites and like screen printing, and I was like watching videos. I was like, I don't know how to do emulsion and like lighting and stuff like that. I was like, what is this? Like, how am I doing it? And I didn't want to like, I didn't know how to pay like manufacturers or anything either. So I was like, you know what? I'm just going to take this marker that I paint on my paintings with, I'm going to draw on the shirt, and I'm going to use the paint that I paint on these paintings with, and I'm going to paint on the shirt. And so I painted on a shirt, and it didn't take as long as I thought it would. Like, the first one took me like 2 days. Like, I was grinding like 2 days. Like, probably like 12 hours. It took me for one shirt, and I was, in my head, I was like, I can make 20 shirts in 2,040 hours.
You're like mathing it out.
And I was like writing it on paper, and I still have these papers. It's so cool to look at it. Like, I met some of these goals. Some of them were crazy goals, but some of them I did achieve and even overachieved. But I made the first shirt, and like people thought it was cool, and I just kept making more, and then I learned like how to use a vinyl cutter so I could make my logo and then paint around the logos. And the paint all holds up like through the wash and stuff. But like with my art, like too, like if you buy like a hand painted piece from me, you're not gonna just like throw it in a washing machine or a dryer. Like you wanna just throw a Versace shirt or something. Like you actually try not to get it dirty. You dry clean it if it needs to be cleaned. Like, the paint doesn't come off unless you physically like scrub it off. And, like, all these to me are like one of one pieces or like prototypes for like when I actually have the resources and the money to say, I made this jacket, make me 100 of them.
Right.
So like the one of one pieces I really like, even though they're not perfect in quality or whatever, they may be like thrifted pieces because they're always going to increase in value. Because these are the ones I spend the most time on. Nobody will have a piece like that. They have age on it, the character. Because even like some of them I'll thrift, they'll be like a shirt from like 1970. So I'm painting on something that somebody else wore. So it's like new energy and the old energy.
Right.
I like to blend.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I didn't even, I guess, expect that it was going to... Some of your stuff seems like it is, you're able to crank them out a little bit more so, but it's cool to know that you have like hand created each one of these pieces.
Yeah, and most of the time, I hate the process of making them because in my head, I know exactly how it's going to look before I start it. In the actual making of my pattern, I'm not doing the same thing over and over. I'm like making different symbols. So spacing is all the same, but it's like different. So like sometimes if I want it to look a certain way, I know I'm going to have to spend 4 hours on a sleeve and then wait for the paint to dry and flip it over and stuff. But I gotten better at keeping myself entertained and motivated by working on multiple projects at once. Like I'm working on this painting, I'm working on my car, I'm making clothes. So like if I get sick of something, I can do something else but still be being productive.
Right.
So I'm not just going to say work on one painting for 6 months only when I feel like I have the desire to paint it.
Right.
And like it's also taught me a lot about just life in general, like doing things you don't want to do, like patience. Like I can sit through anything now because like if I can paint, do one painting for 300 hours. Like, I'll drive wherever, I'll sit through whatever. Like it's really taught me patience, and like that's what to me like that your life should be art. Like it should be fun, like easy, like flowing. It shouldn't be difficult, and like that doesn't mean like I still don't have all my problems and things I have to go through, but I know how I want my life to be, and I will work as hard as I can and to control as many variables as I can, and that gets easier when you get more money, more control, different locations, like shit like that.
Yeah. Did you, man, I had like 3 questions pop into my head, so I'm going to do my best to release them in the right way. So you mentioned you kind of, you know how you want your life to go and stuff like that. Was this kind of recent, or like you dropped out of school and you were like, I kind of already know, and you're just putting it together, or like?
No, when I went to college, like I had no idea what I wanted to do. I was fearless because I didn't care about life when I went to college. I was like, I don't know what I want to live for. Yeah. I care about my family. I'm never going to kill myself. I'm not happy.
That's all good checklist to have.
Yeah, I'm not happy right now. I'm really not happy. But I know I can be happy. Yeah. And that's like, I always like, in my head, like if any situation, like things can always be worse. Yeah. But things can also be better. Right. So it's like, it's just things are how they are. So when I was in school, I didn't get forced to drop out, but all the things pushed me to drop out. Like I finished up my first semester, and I like finished my finals, and I was driving back to Cleveland, and OU's in Athens. It's like 4.5 hour drive, and I was leaving to come back for winter break, and I was gonna drive by myself, just do my test and leave. Yeah. But 3 of my friends who also lived in Cleveland asked if they could ride with me home. So I give them a ride home, and long story short, we get pulled over by the police, and I get like handcuffed, and I didn't end up getting arrested or anything, but
why did they handcuff you? Can you talk on the story, or?
Yeah, because we were smoking while we were driving. Okay. I was not speeding, for the record.
Yeah. They just saw you passing something?
He said I went 84 and a 70, and I said, I promise you I was going 76 at the most, and I was following traffic. And then he said, no, I got you on my gun going 84. And then after this whole scenario, I look at my ticket. He didn't have a radar gun. He wrote pacing, and that's when cops do an eye test. Right. say how fast they think you're going relative to how other cars are going,
right,
and how fast they're going.
Yeah, and you even said you're following traffic.
Yeah,
so
and
like,
so
come on.
that thing got blown out of proportion because it's like Southern Ohio, so he throws me out of the car. He sees I wasn't born here, and like and says, "Do you speak English, son?" And like that's never happened to me before. Like I've never been like actually discriminated.
Yeah,
like, I was like, is this guy serious right now?
Yeah. You just
I was just talking to you for 5 minutes, and you just asked if I spoke English. Like the second he saw born in a country not America,
especially Israel too. He's like, I was gonna shoot him.
And so we all got handcuffed individually, taken the cars, and then we left OU at like 11. I didn't get home until 1 in the morning that night. In like. And we got pulled over within the first 40 minutes, so we drove the rest of the way, no music, just salt. And one of our friends ended up staying in jail. So we had to leave one of our friends over there, and we were just driving like silent. I was like, bro, my parents would kill me, my life is over. Like
silent. I can 100% picture that. Just
yeah, so that's how I ended up back in Cleveland, and I was like, bro, I got so much shit going on, this is a disaster. I'm not going back to school. I'm at least taking a semester off.
Yeah.
And so I just didn't go back.
Yeah, I don't blame you. What happened to the friend in jail? Why did they take him and not everybody else? And
because he fucking, I'm not gonna say his name, but I gave him a ride.
Okay.
And he was supposed to give me gas money, and he did not want to give me gas money. So he was the reason we were smoking in the first place. And that's not even the worst part. He brings in my car a suitcase with a scale, Molly, Adderall, Coke, in my car, and I have no idea about it.
Yeah.
So I'm in the back of the police car, and then they're like, the officer's like, so you were gonna, because he's like, tell me about where the rest of it is. I'm like, I only got 1 gram of weed left. It's in the glove compartment.
Yeah.
I'm just sitting there. I'm like, it's a gram of weed. What can they do?
Right.
And he comes back. He comes back to the car, and he's like, so you weren't gonna tell me about what's in the suitcase? I was like, what's in the suitcase? I was like, I have my clothes, my books. I was like, I'll even show you. It's like, the suitcase with a lock on it. I was like, I don't have the suitcase with a lock on it.
Yeah.
And then I look to my one friend, and then we're just like, we would say the other dude's name out loud, motherfucker. And I'm driving the car,
right.
So if things go worst case scenario, I'm getting charged with all of it.
Yeah.
But the thing is, when they took us for interrogation, like they separated us. I genuinely had no idea about the case or anything, because at first the cops didn't know it was in the case either, because it was locked.
Yeah.
So they're just pressing my friend. They're like, "Open it." He's like, "No." "Open it." "No."
Yeah.
And we're just sitting there for 3 hours, the 3 of us, and then he's by himself waiting, because he's not opening the thing.
Yeah.
And then they finally open the thing, and they find out, and then all the cops come and grab me and take me aside. So they figured out that it was his stuff, so he ended up having to stay for 2 days. So.
Oh my gosh.
That was just a disaster.
Man, that's crazy. That's definitely makes sense. Kind of why you're like, I can't go back there. Definitely feel that. So I guess it was less about like the school, the classes, the people. It was more about just kind of like. No, it was
that too, and that's what I was saying. Like, in my head, I was already I wanted to take a semester off regardless. Mm-hmm. Like, I was like, I don't want to be around these people. They go to the bar every night. I'm going to be broke. I'm going to graduate, be $60K in debt. I don't like any of my classes. Mm-hmm. I'm so stressed out about everything. Like, it's like, why do I need to do this? Like, is it necessary to live my life on a schedule that I don't want to, that doesn't work for me? And like, I hated being in the dorm rooms. Like, I did not like it, for real. Like, I had fun. When I said, like, I knew what I wanted after the first semester, it wasn't the first semester. Like, it was the first 2 weeks. Like,
okay.
Like, I got everything I wanted out of it within the first 2 weeks. And, like, OU's a cool school, but it's not really diverse. Like, you have all types of people, but as far as, like, percentages, like, even though it is diverse, you're only going to have, like, 1 or 2 of those types of people in every room. Like, majority is just drunk white kids, like party,
absolutely.
Kids, like, and I don't have any interest in that.
Yeah, and it's cool to hear you say that, because I was very similar. I think I went to 4 different colleges. I kept bouncing around because my parents made me go. I was like, I don't want to do this. I was like you. I was like, ever since I was like 5 years old, I was like, I'm gonna make movies. Like that's what I'm gonna do. And all adults were like, oh, how sweet. And then I was like, Dad, I'm going to college. I'm gonna make movies. He was like, no, you're not gonna be a nurse. And I was like, okay. So it was very similar of just like I wasn't jiving with the people, and like you're saying, they just want to go to the bar, and I'm like, well, I'm gonna get drunk or in trouble because I'm a like rebel person. I'm gonna be yelling that thing to that wrong person, and I'm gonna get in trouble and whatever. So and then I went to Kent State for video finally, and I was like, oh, I'm the only person that nobody has to tell to go make a video. Everyone else, it's like, you have to do this for your grade. And I'm like, I'm taking time for this video I'm making over here to do your project.
Yeah, not to cut you off, but that was another thing. Like right when I dropped out of school and when I started doing fashion, like I was on Tinder, but I was just talking to people. And I see these girls that are like in fashion school or whatever. And I'd like ask them, I'd be like, oh, so what do you do? Like, what do you do in fashion? They're like, yeah, I've been in fashion school for 4 years, number one stay in the program. I'm like, oh, can you show me something you've made?
Yeah.
None of them have made anything.
Right.
They're all studying how to make something. And that's what college to me is. They're teaching you how to do something. And if you want to learn how to do something, learn how to do it how you want to, as fast as you want to, as expensive as you want to. Like, why would you... I was like, I don't need to go to, and I saw one of my friends yesterday, and he was like, are you ever gonna go to art school? Because like he saw me when I had nothing going on, and like me now when I have, I'm not saying have everything going on, but I've been doing work, like I'm starting to. You've
been doing your own art school basically,
Yeah, and I'm like, I don't need to do that because I don't need somebody to teach me how to be creative. Like, and I'm not saying all art teachers aren't creative or stuff, but if my ambition in life and like my career is I'm an art teacher, like I'm not knocking art teachers. I'm knocking the people who think that they can learn how to be creative from somebody else.
Yeah.
Because that comes within you. Like you need to know. You have to have an imagination in your head. Like you can have you can know color theory. You can know all the techniques, all art history, but you're not going to do anything if you don't have the imagination or the self-drive to actually make something of it or of yourself.
Yeah, and I believe you could, if you are a creative person who's explored yourself and who's painting or making art, music, whatever it is, with passion and with spirit, you will know color theory without knowing color theory. Because you will do it the right way.
Yeah, because all that stuff is based off of talented artists.
They're explaining why this is so good,
and that's that's the funniest thing about the art world. Like, I watch a lot of documentaries about like artists and stuff. Like, I didn't study like textbooks, but I watch like artists I look up to and connect with. I like watch like how they grew up and stuff. And like, the second an art collector buys a piece, that puts the value on it. So like if someone bought a piece of mine for $300, I'm a $300 artist.
Yeah.
But someone buys my next piece for $2,000, that's a $2,000 artist painting.
Right.
Somebody buys it for $1 million, any painting I sell is gonna be close to $1 million.
Yeah.
And like these people who buy art, they have no idea what they're buying.
Right.
They'll walk into an art gallery and see other people talking about it, trying to explain it. They'll be like, oh, I'm going to buy that because they think that looks nice, so I'm going to buy it.
Yeah.
And so, like, that's the thing. Like, I'm doing art because I have fun making art. So whether people buy my art or not, I'm still going to enjoy making high-quality art that takes time, that is personable, that's unique. And so, like, I'm not forcing anything, but like I know the value of my stuff when I make it.
Yeah.
Like I'm never gonna let this go for less than $5,000.
Yeah.
And like sometimes somebody will think that's crazy, but somebody will also think that's only $5,000.
Right. Yeah.
So like it's you put your value on your work, and a lot of people always do stuff based on the monetary value that other people set or the method to do something that other people set. You got to do everything your own way with your own value. Yeah. With your own motives.
Yeah, and it's interesting that you brought up the people talking about the art too, because I went to the Met for the first time. I lived in New York for like a year, so this girl took me to the Met, and I want to say it was it was either Picasso or Van Gogh. It was some like unfinished painting that they had of his. And I was just looking at it and just like really looking at it. It was like in pencil. You could see like his ideas and stuff. And I was like, this is so cool. And people come up next to me like, I read an article, see this line over, he was doing this and this. Oh, I think it did. And I was like, what do you do? Just look at it. Just take it. What does it say to you?
Even Picasso, like I like him as an artist because when he first started, he was like 14, 15, like making masterful like portraits of people, like super realistic. And then by choice, as he got older, he started making more abstract art because he was like, you guys are going to buy anything I make. Why am I going to sit in one spot trying to blend colors when you guys can make photography right now? Like the same exact stuff. Like I'm going to make art that's for me. Like I'm going to make stuff I have fun doing. Like even like there's a video of him, they're like, watch Picasso make a painting in 60 seconds. And he like just like scribbles all over it. Yeah. And they're like, wow, it's a masterpiece. And it's just like a person, but like a kindergartner can make it. But like that's the form of art. Like that's pure art. Like a kindergartner drawing is drawing because that's what they want to make. That's what they think looks cool. They're not making it because they're getting a grade or someone's paying them or stuff. So that's what I appreciate about art and stuff is like, if you do it for the right reasons, like everything else will just come naturally. Yeah, exactly. And I think even similar to what you said about working on the different projects and stuff, like that's probably like fun for you. And it's very probably fun. Like, oh, I could do this and whatever. And I wish there was 3 of me. Dude, me too. Sometimes I do that as well. I'm like, man, I wish you could be an actor and I could write it and I'll shoot it and my other self. You know what helps make more than one of me when I this Red Bulls. I have lots of tools I use. Like, I'm smart enough. Like, I'm not saying I'm smarter than other people, but I've watched so many careers that I know what is good for me that can help me that will not make me burn out. Like I'm not gonna do coke or Molly or perks or Xans and stuff like that. Like, and even with the stuff I do, like shrooms, I only do shrooms and weed right now. And I just started drinking Red Bulls. That's my newest discovery. But all these like help me because like I cannot just, if I'm sober and I'm painting, like I'll get bored of painting because my mind like races. Like I'm thinking a million things, but if I can smoke, I can zone out and just hear music and paint. Like I can disconnect from everything, and like that's like smoking whatever like helps me just disconnect. That's interesting again that you said that too, because I'm similar in that as well. I could either write or edit or something as like regular me, and then I'll get stuck and then I'll smoke and I'm like, boom, it's a totally like different self. I'm going into water and I'm different, and then that might wear off, and then the next day I'll do it. I'm like, wow, what did I never do last night? Oh, that's cool. And then I like can build off of that too, and it is almost like 2 different. I don't know, is that how it feels for you? Almost 2 different people? And not to be like a hippie or a shaman, but like shrooms like are a big reason for my mindset, perspective, a lot of things really, because like whenever I'm feeling like, and something I don't trip often, like I'll have periods where I'll trip a lot in a few months, and then I will go like a year without tripping or whatever. Like I take it as I need it and stuff like that, but when I need it, like I'll feel like I need a reset. Like I'll feel like my brain, like I don't have motivation to do anything. I'm not in a good energy spot, and then I'll take the shrooms and it's like it kickstarts your brain. Like I feel like I can I can see things differently, and I know what the next step is. Because like I've been doing a lot in the last 4 or 5 months, but before that I took a big break. Like I still had a lot. I was still doing stuff, but not nearly working. Like I wasn't creating 12, 14 hours a day like I am now. And like I would just do other stuff to, even though it doesn't seem like it would help art, like I would go fishing almost every day. Like by myself. I go fish for like 4 or 5 hours, and like people would be like, look at me like, why do you fish so much? Like, why are you like, isn't that boring? And like I'll like walk down the street with my fishing rod and shit, like 2 rods, and like I go, because when I go there I completely zone out. Like when I'm catching the fish, it's fun and adrenaline, but that time in between where I get hours of complete silence, like I get to think every thought. And like some people don't want to think any of the bad thoughts. Like they'll always surround themselves with friends or have TV show in the background.
Distractions, yeah.
But I wasn't always forced, but now I appreciate, I force myself, like, I enjoy sitting and thinking those awful thoughts, like, what is my purpose? Like, am I a good person? Am I doing the right things? Was that the right thing to do? Am I treating people the way I am because of how I'm feeling? Like, just all these thoughts that people don't consider on a day-to-day basis. And, like, I'm, at this point in my life, at least, and I hope it's this way, I'm, like, very comfortable with my own thoughts, my own inner world, and that makes everything outside easier. Because I can feel like I can handle whatever. Like, the worst stuff, like, and I also feel like everything that happens is meant to happen, like, and it's just gonna happen the way it happened. Like, even a few weeks ago, before I went to New York, me and Mont had a show in Pittsburgh, and he opened up for, Freshie?
Yeah.
So he opened up for Freshie, and we had a lot going on, and, like, I was trying to get ready. I had a show in New York, so I was, like, working so hard to get all my clothes ready, and, like, I wasn't sleeping at all. And so we drove there, and then on the way back, we're driving, and it's only a 2-hour drive, but I was 15 minutes away, but I was sleepy. Like, I was like, dozing off, and I ended up falling asleep for half a second, and we crashed the car on the highway.
No.
And, like, when you fall asleep and you're driving, like, so many bad things happen. Like, you could crash into a barricade, you could flip over, you could go in the wrong lane, and, like, I ended up just hitting the side and going back to the middle, but, like, I could have died right then and there.
Yeah.
Stuff like that. So, like, and I've had a lot of experiences where it could have went the wrong way, but it didn't. So, like, all those times it didn't go the wrong way, it makes me, like, know that I am here for a reason, and that as long as I keep working towards fulfilling what I'm supposed to fulfill, then I'm going to be here. So, like, I can handle whatever happens.
Yeah. And it's because I've had at least 2 situations like that where it's like reset me almost was like, one, be grateful that you're here because you were here a second ago and you could not be here right now. And then, like you're saying, like, I'm like, oh, I have to be here. And it, for me, at least, kind of resets me and, like, works harder now because it's like, well, I got to make it count. I'm supposed to be here. So I got to make sure I'm doing my shit. So that's awesome. I was curious, I guess you kind of answered it. Like, did you believe in destiny, and, like, what would you say is your destiny? Or
I always feel like there are things written in the stars for you, like things that are bound to happen, but it's up to you to fulfill your destiny. Like, you could have a path set off for you, but if you veer off that path and you make the wrong choices or you start doing things the wrong reasons or not the right things, you're not gonna fulfill your destiny. So, like, I feel like a lot of it is in your control, and like a lot of people are, like, dealt a bad hand in life, like, coming out in life, like, you may, like, be born into poverty or, like, a bad whatever circumstance, but, like, I always feel like the worst circumstance is your inner world, because, like, you could have everything in life handed to you, but still have an awful inner world, and you'll never be happy in life inside of that. But someone could be the poorest man in the world, but be happy in their head and be able to appreciate everything. So, like, I understand that. So, like, I feel like a lot of it is in your control, because, like, when you live your life in a way where you attract things that are for you. Like, if you're always angry, you're always fighting, you're going to attract people who are angry, people who want to fight. If you only want people serious about their business and serious about themselves, then you're going to eventually run into those people. Like, even though sometimes it's like you unfortunately drift away from people, and a lot of it you are going through things alone, you do meet people who are very similar to you. Yeah, absolutely. And I think I've noticed that, and similar to what you were saying, how, like, you know what you want. If you want to eat something, I know what it is I want to eat and everything. And I think that's been a piece I've been trying to pay attention to, is like, because I definitely believe there's, like, a destiny, and interestingly similar to how you said you have to fulfill that destiny, where I've noticed I want something
and I can see the opportunity to take that thing.
Yeah.
And it's like, I can almost see the two paths where one, I'm like, no, I'm not going to do it. And then one, it's like, I'm taking it. Thank you for the opportunity. I'm taking it. And I think some people that you have those destinies. One, that you take it and you don't take it.
And another thing is like timing. Like, when people say like time's not real, that's that's a thing in the sense of time, but it's also in the sense like there is no timeline on what you're supposed to do. Like, there's no point in comparing your path to somebody else's. Like, you may have some people have the same destiny to get a Grammy, but you're not going to get a Grammy at the same time as somebody. That doesn't mean you're not eventually going to get there, whether you get it when you're 19 or 46.
Yeah.
So like, sometimes that option is always there because you're always capable of it, but it's up to you to put in the work or put yourself in a position to get there.
Yeah.
Because a lot of people always have it within themselves, but they don't put themselves in the position to actually get there.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. And I'm curious, I guess, with that said, do you believe in higher power, gods, multiple, like?
Yeah, I grew up Jewish, so I always I didn't grow up like religious, but I always appreciated people who lived for something bigger than themselves.
Yeah.
And so as I got older, I got to like read about other religions and do psychedelics have a lot with my relationship with life, death, whatever, higher power, like. But I believe everything's connected. Like, I believe there's things higher than us that we don't understand, but I also believe like you can tap into those. Like, certain moments I do feel tapped into it, so that I believe like how we live in our third dimension, this is where us humans all experience everything, but other people can tap into higher dimensions and stuff, and like I know I've tapped into stuff like that, and like even in this world I even believe everything, like past, present, future is all connected. Like every choice has like a consequence, and like consequence not like saying it's a bad thing, but like as a result
good
of action.
Consequences too,
So this may sound weird, but like when I trip on psychedelics, you know how people say don't look in a mirror when you trip? One of my favorite things to do is look in a mirror, because like when I look in a mirror and I stare into my eyes, I can see. Sometimes I can actually see, but like I can feel like I'm connected to every version of myself. Like, I can look in the mirror and like be like, I remember looking in this mirror when I was 12 thinking this. Look at you now. And then like talking to myself in the future like that. Like all that's connected, because like, and that's why I said like everything happens for a reason. Like, you're not going to experience this if you didn't experience that.
Right.
So everything is necessary.
Yeah, that's a extremely mature kind of way of looking at everything, and I'm curious for, because shrooms has kind of helped me open up with a lot of those things as well. How old were you when you first started doing it, and do you think that is, I don't want to say like a major component to how you found inner peace, or like how was your inner peace kind of journey? Because
I'd say I did just start doing shrooms when I was like 19.
Okay.
I wouldn't say like the shrooms, like I would say like shrooms, if you do shrooms you're going to think this way and it's the cure for all your problems.
Right.
It's like a lot of it is, I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of bad things happen to me. And that may sound like contradicting, but I do. And like a lot of people will look at me today and like look at me and be like, oh, you wouldn't know what I go through. And like a lot of this stuff isn't stuff because of other people, but it's stuff I put myself through. Like always trying to be like a good person no matter what. And like I am a good person no matter what, but like I'm not gonna now I can defend myself. I'm not gonna like make my strengths be weaknesses, or like make something like, oh, you're too nice be a bad thing. Like I can be too nice, but I can be just as mean or not nice to you. You can lose that niceness in a second. So like I've had, I wouldn't say they're even bad experiences, but I've had experiences where I've had to make those choices to not repeat a cycle. And some people would just make the same choice over and over and over. And I learn from my mistakes. I don't make the same mistake twice. So like I'm not gonna keep fucking up. Like even if I do a job that I'm not qualified for, something like I'll learn it.
Yeah.
If I fuck up, I'm not gonna do that twice.
Right.
And so like that, I was always a good worker, no matter whatever job I went to and stuff like that. So like, I myself always wanted to be something. Like I didn't want to be famous, but I want to make a difference in life. Like, not to be like deep or like anything, but my family comes from Holocaust survivors. Like my great grandma lost 7 brothers.
Wow.
And she came here by herself when she was 14 years old.
Yeah.
So I always think about that. Like, if my grandma, my little grandma, 14 years old, didn't make it to the United States and go through everything she and her family had to go through, then my family wouldn't be here.
Right.
And so, like, even in school, like, when we learned about the Holocaust, like, I forgot who said it, but they were like, if you can save one life, you've saved the whole world, because you've saved that person's entire world.
Yeah.
So, like, I always, like, the purpose of what I do, like, if I can inspire anybody, like, I feel like I did something.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm already satisfied with, like, God forbid I die anytime soon. Like, I plan on living till I'm 103, like, smoking, whatever, making art, but I can be satisfied knowing that I've touched enough people, I've lived everything I know I want to get out of this life. Like, I'm not saying I don't have goals and what I want to get things in the future, but, like, I appreciate everything. Like, I'd appreciate if I never blow up or I never whatever.
Yeah. Man, I was trying to think what was I about to ask you. So I guess similar vein, what are some of the, like, dream vision goals? Like, what are some things, like, what would you, if you wake up, I appreciate that you enjoy the journey of doing it as well, but if you woke up tomorrow, like, what would your...
No, I got hundreds of goals, but think of me, like, a lot of the goals I don't even say out loud, because, like, people look at me, oh, he's just whatever, like, that's too big, whatever, but I genuinely do not care what other people think of my goals and stuff. Like, I've already exceeded any goal I could have set for myself in the past. Like, I believe I can do anything. I'm not going to put anything off the table. Like, and it's like, it's funny because I was just in New York I consider it my first time. I went when I was 11 for a wedding, so I was there for like a day or two. But this time I went to New York and I had a fashion show. And I've only been doing fashion shows since last November. I've done 11 shows.
Wow, I thought it was way before that even.
No.
Man, okay.
So I've done 11 shows since last November, and my last one was in Times Square.
Yeah. And
when I posted the footage of everybody in Times Square, like, I was getting all these DMs, like, people congratulating me, like, bro, you made it, whatever, not, like, my head, like, I was like, that was cool, but I did not make it. Like, in my head, I was like, I just showed strangers my clothes, like, there's so many bigger things and stuff I want to do, but all these people looked at me and had me in a box. Like, I was just the UV that, oh, he draws, he makes cool paintings.
He's done now, he did Times Square.
Yeah, and, like, they're not saying I'm done, like, they see what I'm doing now, but, like, before that, they were just saying, and, like, I don't care what anybody thinks, but people just will put you in a box, and that's just human nature. Like, they'll look at you, and when I look at somebody, I don't look at what they are. I look at who they are and everything they can be. Like, I can see your full potential. Like, I can see what kind of person you're going to be, like, 10 years from now or whatever. And I don't know if that's, like, something unique to me where I'm just very introspective and think about a lot of things and see things from all points of views. Like, I don't know. I've always been, like, even when I was a kid, like, from my earliest to remember, like, I'm always, like, thinking, like, what is the other person thinking? And like, some people are always just like, even if, like, someone was giving me a sandwich, I'm thinking about what they're thinking, like, about, oh, my mom made me a sandwich, but she was on the phone doing this or whatever. Like, I'm not just thinking about the sandwich, I'm thinking about what that other person's mindset is like or whatever. Right. And it's weird because, like, I always feel, like, very strange, like, different.
Yeah, it's incredible to hear you say that you see the potential in everything too, because that's how I am as well. And I'm curious if you run into not problems, but just kind of, it gets me in hot water sometimes because I'm looking at something and I'm like, I'm not seeing the reality of it, and I sometimes can't even accept the reality that it won't be this potential that I know it could be, but it's not and it won't ever be. And it's like, I don't know if you experienced that.
I've learned to accept things, like, that's one of the things that helps me. Things like, when my motto's in my head, like, only focus on what you can control, and what you can't control, just focus on how you react to it or how you can handle it. Yeah. And what was your question again?
So I guess, and you're kind of answering it because I was saying by me seeing only the potential in everything, I sometimes can't accept reality.
Yeah. So when I run into problems, I'm actually running into problems now. Where
I'm sorry.
I'm genuinely a very happy person, positive person. Like, I wake up in the morning, I smoke my weed,
have breakfast.
But if something sets me off that path right now, I don't know if I'm necessarily angry or I'm just have a lot of fire inside me because I'm excited about things, but like, I'll get upset. Like, if someone doesn't see my potential or like take me seriously, like, I will get offended nowadays and like actually like say something. And like, most of the time growing up, I wouldn't say something. Like, if somebody was like being mean to me on the street or something, I'd laugh. Like, I just like, whatever. Like, why are you so angry? Some people would be like, "What'd you say to me, motherfucker?" Like, try to fight them, but I could laugh things off. But like, now in like business, if you like try to little bro me or don't take me seriously or like try to throw something in my face, like, I'm going to give you everything on my mind. Like, I'm gonna say exactly how I'm feeling. Like, and it's like, I've had to cut a lot of people out of my life or make choices about, that I have the people in my life who like me for me. I understand that things can change as things do change, as things get bigger, but I'm always going to be me, so how can I be happy through everything?
Yeah. That's
all that really matters.
Yeah, that's awesome. Man, I was going to ask you a question kind of based off what you just said, but I totally forgot what it was. It was something about, you said you let people have it now if they're saying stuff. You know what? I guess this is like maybe 2 questions ago, but I forgot it then, remembering it now. I guess acceptance and kind of the open-mindedness and stuff, you mentioned schools and jumping around and kind of helped mold you and get you a lot of experiences, but what do you think when did you develop that maturity and the ability to kind of wake up and be positive and let things go and kind of not let, I don't know if I'm making any sense, but like...
No, I know what you mean. So everybody has to eventually just figure it out for themselves. But as a kid and stuff, I was very fortunate that my parents were people who cared about other people and like always like pursued their dreams and helped other people follow their dreams. Yeah. And, like, when I could see that life doesn't just have to be about getting a job, getting a house, doing this, then like I noticed that there are things that every person has to go through to get peace in your head. And then once you have peace in your head, life's just fun.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because you reminded me. So it was about the peace, and I guess you mentioned fishing, and that's, I think, a super good way to, even just for me being outside in general, just I calm down. What did you do / do you do, and maybe it's just fishing as the answer and painting,
so the thing is, like, people always say, like, it's easy for you to say, like, when you say it's really just making a choice, because it really is just making a choice. Like, there is, like how I see it, there's a flick and like a switch inside me. Like, there's sometimes I have that spark in me and it's bright. Like, when it's bright, I'm able to work. I feel like enlightened or whatever. But like, when I get off track and that spark goes out or dim, then I can I know what it's like to feel like the other side of it, not being at peace and stuff. So like, it's all about balance. Like, you're not always going to be at peace. Like, I'm definitely not always at peace now. Like, but I know what it is like to be at peace, so I'll always try my best to be, but there are always things outside your control and always things that you're not going to understand. So like even if you don't understand why you feel the way you do or why something bad happened to you or why do I deserve something, it happened for a reason. So like, that's just me just accepting things, and it's just as I've gotten older, it's not anything specific, and some people just are fortunate enough to have enough experiences to come to that realization earlier than other people. Because some people either come to it later in life or never come to it.
Yeah. So you're saying it's kind of like you're conscious enough of where you start and stop in this that you can kind of choose and decide like how you react to things when some throws your piece off, if you will.
Yeah, and I can't, and I'm not saying you can control, you always do your best.
Right.
It's like in the moment you're always gonna have emotions, control things, whatever, other people, whatever, but like if you can always go back to the lessons you learned and at least try to look at things from a different way, then you at least have the opportunity to feel something different than what usually happens.
Yeah, and as you're saying that, I'm curious, are you, or like, were you a big reader? Did you read like a lot of books on stuff, or you kind of just, like you said, tapped into?
No, so I don't really read much because I didn't like physically reading, but I listen to like a lot of interviews, podcasts. Like, I like Alan Watts.
Alan Watts is awesome.
I really like Alan Watts. I like Joe Rogan because he talks a lot of like interesting people. Mm-hmm. But then like I also like study like different stuff like Seikyu geometry, fucking. Like,
what's that?
Some of the stuff's gonna sound crazy, but there's just like how everything in our world has like the same structure. So it's like basically geometry, but like it talks about like how like plants and stuff, like fruits and like even humans, like how we all have similar structures and shapes and stuff. But also stuff about enlightenment, different texts and stuff, even like different religions and stuff. One thing that I studied that really like, this is one of the coolest things I studied, but I wanted to bring it up because I wanted to talk about it.
Yeah.
There's this poem called Dark Night of the Soul.
Okay.
And it's this old Christian, like, I don't know what it is. His name was like Juan de la Jesus or something. Okay. I'm not sure exactly what he was, but he wrote it, and I think it's in the Bible or one of the interpretations, because I'm not too familiar with the Christian Bible, but he's basically talking about there's this period that people go through, and it can last a day, a night, years, and it's called Dark Night of the Soul, where everything is dark. You just feel like everything around you is bad, and like that's just dark and awful and heavy. And when I read that, I was like, that's how I feel. Like when I was like, because I had a really intense mushroom trip. Like I took the biggest dose I ever took. I've never even taken that much since then.
Yeah.
I was like, when I took it, I was like thinking about like everything. I was like, why is life so hard? Why is everybody struggling? I was just so sad. I was like, and then I read it, and then he was talking about like once you get out of that is when you get to heaven or whatever. But like heaven is not necessarily dying and going somewhere. You can have your heaven on earth or whatever by just freeing your own self from your own pain by like forgiveness or whatever you have to do. Like everybody has their own things they have to accept, their own mistakes or things they did too. Yeah.
That's awesome. Is that's a poem or that's a book or like what
it's
is
a poem. Just look up Dark Night of the Soul.
Dark Night of the Soul. Okay. Yeah. I'm definitely going to check that out. That sounds...
It's like a whole thing. That painting has... You can't read it from here, but I hid an excerpt of it in the painting.
Not the
one? Yeah. I'll show it to you after.
Okay. That's sweet. Man, so... trying to think of I have so many questions that
you asked me about my goals too.
Oh yeah.
I do want to name some of my monetary goals that I am going to achieve. So,
okay. I love it you said I am going to achieve, because I always do that too. Make sure I say I'm going to do this.
So I went to New York. I had a fashion show in Times Square, and that was technically a culmination of New York Fashion Week, but it wasn't exactly New York Fashion Week. Because usually that happens a few weeks before. So I'm either going to do LA Fashion Week next year, New York Fashion Week, or biggest goal, and this is possible because one of the models I met, he actually does a lot of like big work, but maybe Paris Fashion Week because he's like tapped into there. So I want to do something big, like big scale runway show, and then just keep like making drops as many clothes. I already made a lot. Like I've probably made 150 handmade pieces. I dropped 10 hoodie colorways, a bunch of accessories. Like I have way more product than I need, but I'm just working on scaling everything and then putting myself in a position financially to by 2023, after next year, I'm going to have a store.
Okay.
My first store. So that'll be... I have a lot of stuff that... I don't want to speak on everything that's going on too, because I have a lot of connections that I need to put in the work and produce, but I have opportunities ahead of me, but I just need to fulfill them. But I'm confident in myself, my abilities, and I don't really care about anybody else's expectations besides my own.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I was interested to hear what you were going to say for goals and stuff, and it's cool that you said... Because to me, I'm looking at the two sides of it. Is one is like you're saying the fashion shows and like the runways and things like that. But then at the same time, it's I'm gonna have a store, and it's like it's cool. Yeah.
You know, the reason I started doing the fashion shows is because I looked at it. I was like, this is the quickest, easiest way to get great quality pictures of great quality people wearing my clothes.
Yeah.
It's one thing for me to make a jacket and have it sit on my floor or on my closet. Yeah. Then for a model to wear it and walk down the energy, connect with the piece, be excited about it. So like, I've done the 11 shows. I've worked with over 150 different models. Yeah. And like, I have this network of people that I worked with face to face that I can always do work with again. And like, it's hard to just, if you have a brand, like clothing brand, and you want to like, because my goal, I want to like eventually like have people all over wearing my stuff, like be like a recognizable brand and like do collaborations and like if everything goes how I want it to go, if it doesn't, then whatever. If I could do like collabs with like maybe Adidas or like Human Made or just stuff like that. But always the main goal is just making my own brand and my own self be as big and as impactful as I can be, because like I want to paint buildings. Like I'm already working on my first car. My friends saw me do my car, and when I finish doing my car, I'm gonna do a motorcycle. Oh man. So I'm always trying to do things bigger and bigger and bigger. And like I know, like I already see, I'm very connected in the sense that I can close my eyes and like feel myself in a moment I haven't been to yet. Like before I actually do something, I'm gonna feel that emotion before I do it. So when that moment actually comes, it's not like I already lived it, but I'm prepared for it and I already like know what it's like. So like even with fashion shows, like a lot of people really like the music I use for my runways, like the walks, and a lot of it is very impactful because I put time and place. Like when I hear the music before I see them walking, like I know what they're gonna look like walking. Like I know how I'm gonna feel watching them. Like I can see myself in that moment before it happens. But even things further in the future, I don't know exactly when it's gonna happen, but I already feel that emotion and connection to those things. So like I just know I need to be patient and do the right things to get to those moments.
Have you always felt like that? And are you kind of like, would you say you're an emotional type of person?
Oh yeah. Dude, I'm very emotional, but not...
Out of control of your emotions?
No, not, I wouldn't even say out of control. I am in control now, but I don't express them. My emotions. Okay, I express my emotions through my clothes, my art. I don't like open up to as many people. Like this is the first time I'm talking on a camera about like my inner thoughts, goals, ambitions, ideas. Like these are conversations like I just have with my closest friends, and like when we're talking about our dreams and like what we're gonna work towards. Like I don't talk about this stuff with other people because, and even if they don't, I always have that feeling that someone's gonna judge me. Like even if I don't care, like when I was growing up as a kid, I always felt whether it was like bullied or whatever, you always have that. It's like I don't even want everybody who doesn't deserve to be on, which like, I'm not gonna say it's a privilege to be on my journey, but like, if I fuck with you and you fuck with me, like, we're gonna do big things. Like, I'm not gonna try to convince you that what I'm doing is right.
Yeah, I've definitely had that, and mine's similar. Mine is like, I hate telling somebody about my dreams and my goals, and then they don't really care. Like, they were asking small talk, and I'm like, oh, so I'm actually...
so what do you do?
Yeah, and I'm like, oh, so I'm working on this thing, and they're like, okay. And there's no follow-up, and I'm like, oh, why did I just, like...
Like, dude, in my head, all the time, when someone, like, when I go to fucking, like, bar mitzvah or, like, some, like, event where, like, you see family you haven't seen, or, like, an old lady you haven't seen. Like, oh, so what are you doing? Where are you going to school? Like, I want to ask them, say, so what the fuck are you doing now? You come here, ask people questions about what they do, or you sit at home, gossip, like... I don't care about what you do. Just ask, like, how are you doing? Yeah. What is going on? Don't, like, just say, what do you do? Yeah. It's like, I do a lot of things.
Exactly.
And I don't, because the answer that would make them the happiest, I was like, oh yeah, I'm studying business at whatever school. Like, that would make them happy. Yeah. Because that's the one thing, but I'm doing a lot of things.
Yeah, I definitely experienced that too, and it's like I sometimes get anxious, and I'm like, I can talk to people great, but I get anxious in situations where I know it's not going to be a genuine conversation, and someone will ask me, I'm like, what do I say, because I don't know where to start, of like, well, 5 years ago I started doing this, and it's like, and we've been, I don't even know how to explain it, because I know you don't care.
How I do it? I just flip it, I just start asking questions.
That's what I do.
You just talk about them. Yep. And, like, that's also a good business tactic, and also a thing that just make people comfortable. And that's how you...
And you have to do no work.
You're an interviewer, so you know exactly what you do. You ask people questions for a living. Yeah. And you get them to open up based on your questions. Yeah. So, like, that's just a thing, too. Like, I've always, as a kid, like, even if I didn't know exactly what was going on, or even if it wasn't on purpose, I always made people comfortable. So people were always open, like... comfortable opening up to me, or like felt like for some reason I can help them. Yeah. And, like, it's even funny, like, even my energy is like when I go to like a random place, I'll be sitting on the beach, and like I was with a friend, and we were just smoking. It was like nighttime. Yeah. And within like 30 minutes, these homeless people keep walking up to me, like they'll like know that I can help them, even if I don't have money. I have like weed or something, or like can at least give them a conversation. Like, they won't walk up to everybody, but like no matter where I go, somebody will come up to me. And I have so many crazy stories about, like, because that was a problem I'm getting better at now, but I used to not be able to say no. Oh, so, like, if somebody was like, can you please help me? Like, I've gotten myself into some wild adventures. But like, it's just cool, because like I started doing things not expecting anything back in return. Like, one time I had to give this guy a ride, and like, I knew he was lying to me. Like, he made up this big story. He was like, my daughter is at the hot... Like, dude, I gotta tell this one story.
Yeah, I was gonna ask for a story anyway,
So, one day, my brother and sister, they asked me if I could pick up Chinese food. Yeah. So I go to my favorite Chinese food place, and I'm in my Mustang before it was even painted. Like, my beat-up Mustang. Yeah. And this guy asked me, he's like, yo, you have a minute? And I'm like, I got you on the way back, so I thought you wanted money, so let me just go get change first. So I go to buy my food. I'm holding out these big-ass bags of Chinese food. Yeah. And he sees me, and he's like, and I'm holding it, and it's like 90 degrees. I'm holding this hot Chinese food sitting outside my car, and he's talking to me. He's like, all right, dude, and he's like, asking my name. He's like, I'm a preacher. I promise you I'm from here. Like, my daughter, she had, like, dialysis. She's in the hospital down there. Like, I lost my wallet. I just bought a new car. And he's like, I need $100 and a ride to the hospital. And, like, I wouldn't just ask for this because, like, I know it's asking for a lot. But, like, if you give me your phone number, I promise I'll give you the money and whatnot. Like, I don't have a lot of money. So, like, like, bro, I cannot just give this man $100.
And $10 in gas to go there and back.
I was like, bro, I'll give you a ride. And he was like, you sure you don't got nothing you can spare? And in my head, I was like, I got 40 in my bank account. And I got 8 cash. Yeah. And so I was like, oh my God. So I give him $48 and a ride to the hospital.
Oh my gosh, all your money?
And so he's like talking to me, and he claims to be some preacher or whatever. And he's like asking me, he's like, yeah, you're a good person. Like, thank you so much for doing this. And like, I'm listening to him, but I also say out loud before I drop him off, I said, whether you give me the money back or not, you already made that decision in your head. Yeah. I'm doing this just because I feel like it's the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And so like when I start making I always make a choice because it's what I want to do.
Right.
And saying no has now become something I want to do more.
Right.
Based on giving somebody the benefit of the doubt. Because like I can't give everybody everything. Like sometimes I help people too much, or like am there for people too much, or give too much of myself where it's detrimental to me.
Mm-hmm.
And I've gotten better at like knowing I need to protect my energy, and like a lot of it, like I can't help everybody.
Yeah. I'm definitely the same too, and I'll because I love doing stuff too. People are like, hey, can you do a video this day, or can we hang out this day? I'm like, yes, and then I'm like, why am I so angry at everybody? Why do I hate everybody? Why do I feel like this? And it was because I was just saying yes to everything and
overloading yourself.
Overloading myself, exactly. So now I actually have on my calendar, I have relaxed day this day that like make sure I book it. You
gotta have time for that, even if you don't necessarily schedule it. You have to give yourself moments to just relax.
Yeah. Absolutely, and my family was always like, I was brought up like, if I'm sitting down and watching TV, you're playing a video game, like, why aren't you doing blank? You're never gonna get a good college. You're never gonna whatever. I'm like, it's like really, really hard for me to like turn that off. So it's I'm glad I'm not the only one who says yes to everything. So, and I'm curious, just as a circling back kind of to the art, because you have probably one of, if not like the most unique like style as far as your art. Like you're saying you could paint houses, cars, whatever. I could see it on all those things because it's so like you add to whatever you touch. Was it always like the patterns, or I don't know how you describe it?
Yeah, so it's funny. Like in school, I always during class I just doodle on paper, and like I just sometimes make different shapes and like fill a space. But I always liked to make the paper not look like the paper. Like and when you're in class, you only have like a pencil, so I was very like high energy kid. Like I didn't like sitting in a chair for hours. Like even if I was doodling, I wouldn't really have fun if I had to. I would know I wouldn't have enough time to make like a picture, like or like paint like a car or something. So like I just do more abstract things where I'm moving the whole time, so like I can move as fast as I think. And so that's always been like the theme of my art, where I can literally write every thought. Like I don't have to like have those thoughts in between motion. Like I can have art always moving, so my art is always like high energy too. But the pattern has definitely like evolved and gotten like tighter, and so like I can look at my older paintings and like sometimes see spacing where like I would have like filled it automatically like tighter or whatever. And like it's funny because sometimes I am really torn between touching up old paintings or leaving them with the imperfections. Because like that was like young version of myself. Like that's kind of cool, but like at the same time, like
I gotta fix
like,
it.
I missed the spot.
I know what you mean. Yeah, so that's really cool. So, and you had mentioned, and I had seen, I think it was on the car, you had put like Dream Vision in the car. And
I had stuff all the time, whether it's like different words, different like but I have stuff that I put in a lot of stuff. Like I have a heart where I leave half of it empty and half with the pattern, and that like represents that like half of the love is inside of you and half the love is outside in the world, that you have to connect it. Like you have to give out love to receive love. And not everybody has it. You need something outside yourself to be complete. Whether it's another person, a career, a dog, like anything you care about. Like, and that's the thing, like too, like everybody has their own things that they live for, their own things they die for. But like if you don't live for anything or you don't die for anything, then you're not doing anything.
You're just kind of surviving.
In cruise control.
I think it was like 8 years ago watching The Walking Dead. He's like, I don't want to just live. I don't want to survive. I want to live. And I was like, oh man, like as silly as it was, I was stoned as fuck watching the thing. I was like, that's true, man, Rick. Like I wasn't. Yeah, exactly. So I wanted to start to do that as well. So that's you're definitely accurate on that. Is there like, this is gonna be a silly question, but it's a genuine question. If you look at like something Are you already seeing the patterns? You are for real?
I look at you and I saw.
I was gonna say, are you looking at me?
Dude, it's funny because I want to have I was talking to my friend. I was like, today I want to have a show where I have at least 10 models and I just paint them.
Yeah.
But in my head, I was like, that's a lot of sitting down and a lot of work. And I'm like calculating in my head, how am I gonna paint these people? But
yeah.
I like for fashion shows, I paint on like sunglasses before.
Mm-hmm.
Another funny story. Before, remember I told you how I was younger and I'd like experiment with drugs and stuff?
Yeah.
So I ended up in the psych ward one time. This is a long story.
Okay, do it.
But I'm going to try to give you the best version.
Okay.
So I was just on an acid bender. Like I had done acid before and like I was like, it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay.
And then this girl, she gave me a gel tab.
Ooh.
And I was like, whoa. And it was gold. It was like a gold circle. And
yeah.
I take it and I feel like, I just felt like water. That's how I describe it. Like I just felt like so like best feeling I ever felt. Like I was like drawing, listening to music, and I was like so happy. And then next day, I don't go to sleep, and then I was like, can I get another gel tab?
Yeah.
And it's like it's a blue one.
Ooh. Okay.
So it's like a blue one, and so I'm like tripping. But then I'm up for 3 days.
Oh
and
my
in
gosh.
the 3 day span, I probably had like 20, 30 people through this room, like different smoke sessions, meeting people, and like that was very abnormal of me because like when I was younger, I didn't really like go out and like meet strangers. Like I just met you because I was playing soccer or we went to school together.
Yeah.
But I was like just so like I needed to crash and like I just needed to sleep and have everyone away from me. But somehow I got in an argument with my parents and like I knew I just needed to crash and like sleep and then I'd be okay the next day. But like, I ended up having to like clean my room while I was tripping, and then I was cleaning my room and my dad's great, but he's a great person and best dad ever. I was listening to music like quietly and cleaning my room. He comes in, he's like, no, too much stimulation, you're overstimulated, because he knew I was tripping like for 2 days, and he's like, no, you need to turn off your music and just clean your room and that's it.
Yeah.
And I was like, what the? I can't even fucking listen to music while I clean my room.
Yeah.
And so he leaves, and then I'm like, all right, fine, I'm gonna watch Netflix.
Yeah.
And so I put on like Rick and Morty, and I'm watching it. And he comes back, and he sees Netflix on, and he's like, I told you, no, you're overstimulated right now. You need to take a break and just clean your room.
Yeah.
And so I got pissed. I'm like, you're telling me I can't even have a TV show while I'm cleaning my room. And so I was like very hyped. So they were like, Yuval, you're acting crazy. I think your acid is laced. So I'm like, all right, fine, let's go to the hospital. I'll show you that my acid isn't laced and I'm completely fine and you guys can look crazy.
Yeah.
And so we go.
We go
to the hospital. And I'm still like, yeah, I'm gonna be here for 30 minutes. I go back home. They're gonna see that I'm fine. They're just tripping. And so the nurse takes me in the room and she's like asking how I am, and she's like, yeah. And I was young still, so like I thought I was like the shit, like I was cool for taking acid or whatever, and like I could be like an adult and like I was responsible, and if I told them the truth that they'd let me go.
Yeah.
So I was like, yeah, I was trying to just smoke a little weed and I took a tab of acid.
Yeah.
And she's like, okay. And she walks away. She walks away, and then I'm in this room. And I'm still tripping, like not like tripping hard, but I'm still like tripping.
Yeah.
So I'm in a room and I have no phone. I don't have a Juul or anything.
Yeah.
And I'm sitting there, and it's 10 p.m. when I first get in the room. 2 hours go by. It's midnight. Nothing's happened.
Yeah.
And then it's 2 a.m. I'm like, why is nobody coming to talk to me?
Yeah.
And then finally at like 3 a.m, they bring in a doctor on a computer screen.
What? This is
And
real?
I'm like, yeah, I swear to God, a doctor on a computer.
Like
some guy, like he's on a computer, but like, you see him talking, like him chest up.
Yeah.
So a nurse wheels him in, and he's like talking to me.
Nurse wheels
and I'm
him in.
tripping, and I'm like, bruh, am I talking to a computer right now? I can't even talk to a doctor. And he's like, so what exactly did you take? And I like telling him what happened. I was like, yeah, I'm a little anxious right now. I just want to go home. Like,
yeah.
I don't understand why you guys are keeping me here. And he's like talking to me. He's like, okay, so you took acid, right? And I said, yeah. And he's like, okay. And then they wheel him out. And then it's 3:30 in the morning, and then time keeps passing. And then it's 6 in the morning. I'm like, you guys aren't having at this point I'm angry.
Yeah.
So I walk out of the room and like I go to the nurse's desk and I'm like, guys, why can't I leave? Like,
It's like guts.
I said, I'm 18. Can I sign a paper and leave? Like, why?
Yeah.
How are you guys keeping me here? And then they don't say anything to me. So I walk in my room and I slam the door behind me.
Yeah.
Like, you know how you slam the door in your anger? So I slam the door.
Yeah.
And the next thing I know, the nurses walk in. I get 2 shots of Ativan, and I woke up in the psych ward.
No way.
And so when I woke up, I was like, where the fuck am I? And
You slam the door and all of a sudden you wake up. Yeah.
And so they drove me to another hospital in an ambulance to the psych ward. And so I wake up, I have a pink wristband. I'm like, what's going on? And I realized that I got pink slipped, which means you got to be in a psych ward for 3 days.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I went in on a Friday, and they don't count the weekends as days.
Right.
So I was there for 5 days.
Oh my
And they put me in the
gosh.
most aggressive unit of the psych ward. So I was around all these crazy people.
Yeah.
And so that was just a crazy story. And when I was in the psych ward, I was like drawing on everybody's shoes with the markers. They were washable markers, like the kid ones.
Yeah.
So I draw them and they come off, but I still did it for fun.
Yeah.
But that was just like,
That's
I had
insane.
a lot of stuff that it took a lot to get to where I am, I guess.
Yeah.
Mentally and just outside everything. You know?
Did you ever find out what happened? Why, like, 6 hours you were there and the doctor on the screen? And
No,
like...
because I told them they took acid, so they thought I was crazy. So they were just like doing doctor shit, like waiting for me to like break. Like they were just gonna like hold me in the bed and then talk to me the next day, do tests. Like it was just like a long process. That
So had you like gone to sleep and woke up at 9 in the morning next
Yeah.
day, you'd have been fine.
But like I was tripping and I didn't want to be there. Like
Right.
I went into that with the expectation that
30 minutes.
and I'd be back home.
Yeah.
So that was crazy.
Yeah, it's funny I had similar things as an adult where it's like, oh, I'll just tell the truth and like this is gonna work out, and it's like, oh shit, never tell the truth. Like you try to give what you got to.
Can't tell everybody the truth. Not telling everybody all the details is not the same as lying.
True. Yeah. I definitely agree. Yeah. So, man, I guess did you have any other funny stories? Because I was gonna ask for one and you volunteered one. And you don't have to share another one, but I'm curious.
I had a bunch of funny stories.
Putting definitely on the spot. And I'll throw this out to you as well as another question. Because it's something I like to ask people: is do you remember, and if so, what was the hardest time you've ever laughed in your life?
That always changes, but.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Like I've had so many funny experiences. One of the funniest I can remember is just with my brother. Like the first time we smoked a Fronto leaf. Like,
Yeah.
We were just so high, like we were rolling on the floor laughing. We weren't supposed to be smoking because we had like family staying with us. And we weren't supposed to be high, but this in the morning we were just and my mom was in the bed and we were just on the floor like rolling, laughing, like trying to be quiet, like silently. Like I just have like. I have good memories with all my like friends and stuff. It's like all the people close to me, like even people, and that's another thing with me. Like I've had a lot of friends throughout life, and like that doesn't mean I have a lot of friends now.
Yeah.
I've like had sometimes very quick but powerful friendships. Like I've went through like big experiences with people in a short amount of time. Like I don't just do things for the sake of doing it. Like I want to live life to the fullest. I want to just like I'm not gonna sit and just watch people play Fortnite or 2K or go to a party or drink or like I'm not gonna go to the bar or club unless like I'm meeting somebody or I can make money. Like every choice now is calculated and like that's not a funny story.
Yeah, it was kind of like and then like hey, no worries.
I got off track.
Hey, no problem. But I am curious. I thought of this as you were kind of telling that not funny story. If you weren't an artist and you weren't painting, like, what do you know what you would do?
Well, I do things outside of painting. Like, I'm a manager in music. Like, I really like music, so.
Well, it's not necessarily like when you're done painting, but like if you woke up tomorrow, you just can't do it anymore.
Well, that's
or
what
like,
I'm saying. If I couldn't. Paint,
okay, I got you.
I just do full-time like managerial stuff, like just help my friends get shows, like build their careers.
Yeah.
Like I like to just, I don't know. I also have a lot of things like outside of art and things like that art and music that I want to do. Like just as far as this is gonna sound crazy, but when we look at this this interview like 15 years later will make more sense, but like even things like politics, like I don't want to be a politician, but I'm going to be involved with people that will make choices. Like I'm very optimistic. Like I believe like the world can be better and that new energy and new ideas come and stuff like that. So like I always wanted to start like nonprofits, like just help people. Like I always wanted to have schools, like my own type of school.
Yeah, that's cool. Are you would you say you're like an organized person by nature?
No.
Okay. Because it
I'm
sounds like
not organized in physical stuff. I'm organized in the sense that I can balance things. Like I know I'm organized in the way that I can see everything how it is, but like where it's supposed to be, but I don't have like clean room all the time or stuff like that.
Yeah.
Like everything's like pretty chaotic, like high energy. Cause like I'll like say like I'll clean my room, but I need to paint first. I'm already gonna mess it up, so I may as well just clean it later. And a lot of the time, like I'm prioritizing things for the bigger picture. Like, I'm not gonna spend so much time with other shit, I guess.
Yeah. So you're organized maybe in that respect, but like the physical items and stuff is more kind of chaotic. Because I'm in the same boat. I'm always trying to be a more organized person. I feel like I'm somebody where like the chaos, it just works out. It just happens. Everything I need, it just works. But I couldn't tell you how I got from A to Z. Oh, yeah. I wanted to be at Z. I manifested Z. Chaotic.
That's me with my markers. I'll lose my marker. I'm like, where the fuck is my marker? And then I'll like be smoking my backwood, and I'll like lift this one. Oh, there's my marker. But that's not where you keep your markers. Like I should really have a box where I keep everything. But then that box gets other things in it. And
that's exactly how it is for me
try
as well.
I feel like not saying being rich is to answer all your problems, but when I have more money, I'm gonna be more organized.
Yeah.
Because I'm not going to be like, I'm wasting time.
Yeah.
I'll be like, I already have money, we'll have enough or whatever. Not saying that I need more money. Like, I'm happy with whatever. Like, I'm happy with where I'm at in life now, but I also like nice things.
Yeah. I think that's good to be, you said balance and stuff, and I think balance is definitely important, and be able to balance, I'm happy where I'm at, and I can celebrate the good and the bad of what was, but I also want more, and I want to grow and evolve, because some people are either happy with what they've got and they don't care, and some people only want the
there's a difference between being grateful and being content. Yeah,
that's a good way to phrase it. Yeah. So anything else that we need to know about you? Anything? What else? What's something maybe that we didn't go over that you feel like the world wants to know?
If anybody's listening, to just tap into all the social medias, Instagram at ZY3YZ, and I have everything up for sale at www.drmvzn.com, drmvzn.com. And I don't really have anything else unless you have any questions.
I have a couple random questions that I'll just throw out there just because I'm less of like, what's your soul like as a person, but you know your blood type?
No.
No? Okay. When's your birthday?
October 9th.
October 9th. Oh man, happy birthday.
Thank you.
Man,
I just turned 23.
Hey, congrats. There you go. Are you a Blink-182 fan?
I like their music, but I don't know it well enough to do like track names, but I do enjoy when I do hear it.
The song What's My Age Again is Nobody Likes When You're 23. So when I was 22, I was like Taylor Swift, feeling 22.
Yeah, see, that's what I was singing. When I was 22, I walked out of my room singing. Everyone was like, "Shut the fuck up!" I kept playing that song.
Yep, I was that guy as well, and it's a irritating song if you hear it a lot.
I was like, "Bro, put on that T-Swizzle."
That's awesome. And what else? You mentioned Cinnamon Toast Crunch earlier. We're talking breakfast. What is your favorite cereal?
That is my favorite.
What is your favorite cereal? The taste you can see, man. Awesome.
I also eat my cereal with no milk. Fun fact.
Really?
I like my cereal dry.
Always
cereal.
no milk.
No milk.
Ever since you were a kid.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And I hate cheese.
And you hate cheese?
But I'll eat pizza.
Okay.
But I hate cheese.
Man.
Like if you give me a cheeseburger, I will be offended.
Wow.
I was at a restaurant. This is a funny story.
Okay, yes.
I was out to a restaurant, and so this is the thing. Like I like hamburgers.
Okay.
And like a lot of times, like they come with cheese, like the specialty burgers.
Yeah.
Like, I always had to say no cheese.
Yeah.
So I was with a friend, and I was telling her, I was like, I swear to God, if they put cheese on my burger, like, they better not put cheese on my burger, like, because they kept fucking up, and I was like, in my head, I was like, I know they're gonna fuck up. And so they come, and she's like, here's a hamburger, no cheese. And I look at it, I'm like, bruh, there's cheese on it.
What's that?
How are you gonna say hamburger, no cheese? And I'm looking at cheese.
She's like, I hope it has no cheese on it.
No, but like she thought that there was no cheese on it. So somehow it still got fucked up. But I just thought it was hilarious that they said it. It said it, no cheese. They didn't just say, here's your hamburger.
Yeah.
They said hamburger, no cheese, but there was cheese on it.
Man, so did you, like, you tried cheese once as a child and you were like, hell no, never?
Yeah, so what happened was I was like 1 or 2 and I had a chicken Alfredo. You know, that's like cheese. It's like white. And I threw up. And then I wouldn't eat any food that was white until I was 8.
Wow, okay.
And then since then I always hated cheese.
Even orange, yellow, other colors of cheese?
See, as I've gotten older, I've started to like, I like goldfish.
Yeah.
It's like things like that, but I don't, just like the smell of actual cheese or like, I don't like it on spaghetti or nothing, bro.
Have you eaten Alfredo since?
Bro, no.
No? Okay,
Even the smell of it.
Wow. So that's, how old were you when you threw up?
Like 1 or 2.
1 or 2. Man, okay. That must have been traumatic. I once threw up when I ate peas, and I didn't eat peas for a minute. But they make my throat tickly, and I would always be like, Mom, they make my throat tickly. She's like, yeah, right, you just don't want to eat your peas. Eat them. And I was like, no. So I ate the peas, and I threw up like immediately, because I think I made myself throw up, but still got, tickle throat or whatever. But I have since eaten peas. Not saying I'm a better person, because I think if it was chicken Alfredo, just the smell of that, I could definitely see where that would be a thing. I'm trying to think of. Oh, you mentioned pizza. So you do eat pizza, but you only like cheese. What is your favorite kind of pizza?
Like what type or from where?
Both.
I like Jet's Pizza.
Ooh, I love Jet's Pizza.
I like a pizza. The sauce to cheese ratio has to be at least 70 to 80% sauce.
Man,
that's a good pizza to me.
Yeah.
So Jet's Pizza is my favorite.
I definitely agree.
And I like Kalamata olives, banana peppers, of course pepperoni sausage, all those stuff.
Yeah, that's exciting. I'm like so excited to hear you describe that because my girl and I are not pizza compatible. She is like 3-to-1 ratio of cheese to sauce. We always have to get light sauce. She's like double pepperonis, all the like extra cheese, knows all this stuff from places I don't like either. And I love Jet's Pizza. I love Kalamata olives, black olives, banana peppers, extra sauce, whatever. So I'm like, man, there's someone else out there I'm not like that I could get pizza with, because she and I are just like, okay, who's gonna be happy today and who's gonna be sad when we get this pizza? We gotta roll the dice. Any shout outs that you want to do? Anybody we got a shout out?
Oh, yeah.
We kind of shout out some people, but
shout out mom, shout out dad, Gotti Zamir, look him up, legendary artist. My mom, Sarit, legendary mom, does her own stuff too.
Yeah.
Shout out FSO Mont.
FSO Mont.
Shout out him especially just because I have a lot of people that I would shout out, but he deserves to be shout out the most just because the amount of work he puts in for himself and other people. And I'm sure in the future I'm going to shout out a bunch of other people. And there are people that do deserve to be shouted out.
Yeah.
That I hope if they see this, they're not offended, but they know, the people in my life know that I appreciate them. And
yeah. That's awesome. And just to shout out Mont as well, I interview with him coming soon, and I hit him up. I was like, what's your schedule like? He's like, oh, I work 2 jobs and I got this. And I was like,
dude,
bro,
I'm telling you,
man.
Like, nobody works, like, I'm going to plug Mont for a second.
Yeah.
This is my interview. Nobody works as hard as that dude.
Yeah.
And, like, he literally works 2 jobs. So every single day, Monday through Friday, and on the weekends he works. So sometimes he'll be lucky that he only works one of the jobs, one of the days.
Yeah.
I can see him.
Usually it's a day off for him.
Usually I catch him in between, but we see him at each other. And outside of that, has made 200 songs that he's dropped in the past like year. All these projects, investing every penny he has into himself. Like, I book these videographers like Night Runner, and he works like Henny Honky, like all these very talented people, but people don't understand like that costs money.
Yeah.
And like you can look and see how many videos, how many projects, and like I can't wait until like other people can see and appreciate it. Like,
yeah,
good art always and should find its way. Like even if it doesn't like blow up or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
it's bound to reach the people it's meant to reach. And like
Yeah.
when I hear his music, I can see him connecting to a lot of people.
For sure.
Because like I've seen the people he's connected to with the music, and the people that do support him are very supportive, and it's just a matter of meeting more people. And
Yeah.
that's like what I'm trying to do too. You just gotta put yourself out there, and then keep doing what you're doing, but just scale it.
Exactly. Yeah, that's awesome, and I'm glad to give Mont some energy because he definitely deserves it. So
He was actually here. He was gonna stay for the interview.
Oh, was he?
But he left to go to a recording session because he was funny. He was like, "Bro, I gotta do something too today," and I was like, "This will be doing something."
Yeah.
You'll see him soon for sure.
Yeah, I'm trying to coordinate when because I work and he's definitely working harder, so we're trying to link that up. But that's awesome, man. Any other shout outs or we want to end on?
That's pretty much it.
Cool.
Until next time.
Until next time.